No, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. And you live in Philly
Yep.
and you're a Dallas Cowboys fan. So I think
Yeah.
we're pretty much ready to get started
You
on
better
that.
keep that part out of the podcast.
Oh no, that might be like the mini intro right there.
Oh, you could do. Okay, that's fine. I may have Philly fans. They're crazy. They could be at my door.
Oh, please, they can. I agree. But let's get this thing started, okay?
All right. Yeah.
All right, very good. Hey, everybody, my name is James Gilbert. This is the Work Hard People's Podcast. I am very pumped about tonight's show. Don't forget, like, subscribe, comment down below, do all those things. We love your interaction. And I do have to say we are very blessed to have the most beautiful Jordyn Cassandra, who is she's my hero when it comes to mental training. She has spent many, many months and years studying these things to make sure that she can help people just get out of the way of their head. And we are also very blessed to have Mr. Steve Yudis, who is one of Jordyn's clients and also has a great story to tell. And as you guys know about this podcast is about showing you how you can do it, right? Everybody has their own mental issues. Everybody has their own food issues, training issues, all these different things. But this podcast is about showing you that you can be somewhere and get somewhere. That is the most important thing because those are the things that are going to help us all be better human beings. Not only for ourselves, right? We have to start with us. When we start with us and better ourselves, it's like the old analogy in the airplane, right? When the oxygen mask falls, you put the oxygen on your face before you put it on your child. Why? Because if you're dead, you cannot help your child. It's the same thing. So I'm very excited. We're going to dive into Steve's story. I do want to real quick. Don't forget my code WHP at Old School Labs. You want to get like a nice shirt, Samir Bennett tees, great merch. The products are very good. Jordyn knows me. I will not lie. If the product is bad, I will tell you it's bad. But Blast Max, their protein, Replica GH products are very good. I've been using them for a while now, and code WHP if you want to get a nice discount to try that out. And with that, Jordyn, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great today. Thank you for
asking.
asking.
Yeah, and Jordyn comes to us from Canada. We love that. Yeah. All the way out there in British Columbia, right?
Yes. Yes. And you know what? You know what's fun is we don't even have snow yet, James.
Oh, really? In BC, no snow. My weather down here, everybody knows I'm in Alabama. My weather down here this week has been bipolar. I woke up Wednesday, it was 25 degrees. I woke up Thursday, it was 51 degrees. I woke up Friday, 25 degrees again. I'm like,
so that's bipolar, all right.
So, Jordyn, just real quick intro, your business, what you're doing.
All right. Obviously, my name is Jordyn. I own Make Moves Academy, Inc. And what we do is...
Link will be in the bio, in the description, by the way.
Yes. So what we do is we help high-achieving professional people get out of their head. Because there's so many of us that are super driven, super hardworking, and are able to build success in one area or two areas of our life. We have that beautiful life on paper, but still feel lost inside. We feel disconnected. We feel shame. We feel limited. We feel like something is missing, like success feels hollow. And so what I have done is I have built a business on helping people like Steve, who are, CEOs and people who have seen success, entrepreneurs, coaches, people who have done some things and gotten to the place of success where they've gotten to the place where they've realized, well, this still doesn't feel that great. Why am I still not happy? I did all the things, I checked all the boxes, but I haven't quite figured out how to be happy here. And so what I have done is, through my own experience of that exact thing, I have learned how to beat the mind and find peace. And I've done so through mind science and through spirituality and through embracing your physical health. It's a very holistic mind, body, soul collaboration between the three in order to find that place of being, that state of being that allows you to feel as good as you should based on what you have on paper. So that's what I do. That's what I have done for the last 5 years. Before that, I was a macros and binge eating coach. I worked with people with eating disorders and healing their relationship with the food and their bodies, and that was amazing. And before that, I worked in oil and gas, and I was very successful there and very happy there. So my life path has built me into this position of being able to help people on this level now, here, today. And that is why it's so effective, is because anything I tell you is because I have lived it and I have done it and I have used it and it worked. And so, yeah, that's the magic.
No, that's great. And Jordyn, I definitely, I love you to death, girl. I appreciate Jordyn for many reasons, and I'm gonna drop the podcast number that her first episode with me, because she kind of lays out her life story, the downfall of Jordyn and the rise of Jordyn, and I will list that episode so everybody can check it out. But one of the things I love about Jordyn more than anything, a lot of what she does, she puts out there for free on her Facebook page. She has weekly live, I don't know what you call them. Call it a podcast. It's basically a live podcast on Facebook where she goes over these different things, and she does a lot of stuff to try to help you become comfortable being you, right? Like, be comfortable with the things that your mind is doing to you, because your mind will self-sabotage, your mind will mess with you, your ego will definitely mess with you, and she gives you a lot of tools to make that better. And I don't care what kind of shape you're in physically. You don't fix this, you're never going to fix this. Never. The mind is our greatest asset and our worst enemy all in one. So I love what she does. And with that, let's get to Steve. This is Mr. Steve Yudis. He's one of Jordyn's clients. How are you doing today, sir?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Oh, our pleasure. Our pleasure. So break it down. Let's get in. We kind of know a little bit of where we're going with this. Let's break it down. Start. What made you get to the point where you were even thinking about, hey, I need some help? Where were you at? What were the triggers in your life that brought you to that point?
It took a long time for me to figure that out. Too long. I can start with so many things. One of the biggest parts was my mind, my ego, as Jordyn calls it, or we call it collectively. I always had to be the guy. And, whether I had to show off or step up to be number one, or my word was always, the end of the story. I always had to be that person, whether it be win an argument, come up with the best idea, and it really took me to some very negative places, because, my mind dictated where I went, and I just couldn't see clearly through it. On top of that was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in my very early 30s, and very high sugars, 300-400.
Ooh. It's high.
Yeah, obviously, without my pancreas being able to produce much insulin, or whether the insulin wasn't effective, whether I was insulin resistant, it was a combination of all of those factors. But the thing is, I never even really saw that. I knew I had it, but I was what you would call, and what many people out there are, non-compliant diabetics. And I probably went for a good 10, 12 years with high sugars.
Yeah.
Caused major issues today. With my kidneys, I'm doing fine, but it did cause damage. Thank God that's really all it did. I mean, it threw off
Neuropathy, anything like that?
no neuropathy, some hypertension, but I've been able to really reduce all that through diet and exercise. But damage that's done to my kidneys is done, but my values are starting to come back, which is good.
Very good.
So you do pay a price, because it's a vicious cycle. So to get back to your question, what prompted me to get help, I really, between say 35 and 60, 59, that's a long time that went by. I was in my head. My biggest enemy was myself, was my mind, was my ego, and the things that I was doing to self-sabotage myself, whether it was being the guy, or binge eating out of control, a lot of different things. So, I went some 30 years without even realizing that I was the one causing the issues. Now, even though I didn't cause diabetes, maybe I did through, terrible eating, but I think that I got it from my grandparents on my mother's side. But whatever that was, I was causing most of the problems, and I never really even knew it until I started working with Jordyn. And I could tell you all about that. I became enlightened, I became aware. And once I became aware to what my mind was telling me, I was able to take strong action, positive action. And ever since I've been working with her to this day, I've been going 110% up in the right direction.
I've seen some. She showed me some pictures. I mean, you look fantastic, man. How old are you?
I'm 62.
62. So you're part of the old man's club, right? And you look fantastic. You look really good. Do you
Thank
have
you.
before pictures, like how you looked before? You need
Yeah,
to get me some of those, because I'll
I
post some of
will.
those as well so they can see. Because the pictures Jordyn sent me, man, I mean, you look great.
Well, I'll put it to you this way. You would be horrified to see those pictures. I
No, I
was,
love them. My people want to see those pictures, because then they're
you'll see
seeing this
that.
is where I was, this is where I came.
I barely fit in the frame of the camera. It's that bad. And
Oh,
I don't exaggerate
yeah.
with anything. I tell it like it is 100%. So I was probably around 325 pounds,
Okay.
with a body mass index in the high 70s, low 80s,
Okay.
and very much diabetic. Um, Running a multi-million dollar company as CEO, under an enormous amount of stress. I can't even imagine how much cortisol I was pumping out at the time.
A lot.
I mean, my body, I mean, amongst other things, I worked from 5 a.m. in the morning, sometimes 4:30 a.m. until 6 p.m. that night. And I lived, work. It was my mistress. Caused a lot of damage to my marriage because of that, and because of my lifestyle. Led me to obviously be non-compliant with diabetes and ruin my health and get even worse. It led me to overindulge in alcohol for several years to, mask the pain. but the pain was still there after the alcohol wore off. We all know that. So, it's definitely definitely wasn't a good thing. So now I'm at about 215 pounds. My body fat is around 17%. I'm lean. I've got a lot of lean mass.
Oh yeah, you got some guns. I seen the picture.
I do. I look good, but I feel good. I stick to a strict macro-based nutritional program. I eat what I want, but I eat good food. I don't binge
Steve,
anymore.
tell him how many grams of carbs a day you eat now and where your A1C is at.
So my A1C is at 5.4.
Okay.
Which is amazing. It's actually right under normal. I think normal is what, 5.5 to 6.2, whatever. You can look it up anywhere.
Yeah,
but,
no, my day job is life insurance, and
so
I'm very familiar with where your A1C needs to be to get medically qualified for life insurance. So, yeah, you're good. You're definitely good there.
Do you know where my A1C was at when I was about 325 pounds?
Probably 8.5 or 9.
12.5.
Oh, whoa. Yeah,
that's how bad it was.
That's knocking on death's door. That's not good at all.
The only thing that saved me, that was on my side, I believe, is that I was still somewhat younger, but I still could have, God forbid, had a heart attack.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, that's 7.5, 8 is through the roof.
Yeah, it is.
So, to be at double digit A1C, is not good, man.
It's horrifying. I went through so many endocrinologists that were fed up, but I would get fed up when they got fed up. And I'd say, screw you, I'll just find another doctor. And then that doctor would throw his or her clipboard down and says, you can't eat a whole damn pizza. So getting back to what Jordyn was saying, so, I reverse diet. I take in, close to 3,500 total calories a day, take in about 250 to 290 grams of quality protein from food. The only protein not from food, from, isolate whey, is intra-workout and post-workout. My carbs are anywhere, get this, a day, 325 to 350 grams of carbs.
Yeah.
And my sugar.
As a diabetic.
Diabetic. So now
but pause. Because we need to touch on this, because people don't realize this. This is so important. I actually coach some bodybuilders. I coach them to the stage, right?
Okay.
And it amazes me when I'm backstage and I see some of these people talking about, man, I haven't had any carbs in 3 weeks. And my athletes are usually their low carb days are 200 grams. That's a low day, right? Day of show, we're 350, 450 grams of carbs.
I love it.
And it's because if you use it correctly, you listen to the best. Who's one of the best bodybuilders on the planet? Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler.
4-time Mr. O, right? Ronnie Coleman. Jay Cutler, his low days were 350, 400. His high days were 1,000 during a cut.
Oh, my God. You're totally right. Yeah, I know
It's eating good carbs. It's not sugar. It's not pizza. It's eating good, healthy, wholesome carbs, good lean protein sources.
Yep.
Good quality fats, not, spraying Pam down your throat or whatever. You know what I'm saying, right? It's good food, makes the world of difference. Carbs are not your enemy.
No. And most people think that they are.
It's
first thing they do is
me.
They go keto. So yeah, that's great. Yeah. You're going to drop 20, 30 pounds, eventually in the induction phase of Atkins or whatever, you're going to drop, 10 or 20 pounds, but you wait and see what happens when you start to reintroduce into it. You gain it back, you gain it double back.
Yeah.
So no, that's exactly right, James. I mean, my carb sources are good sources of carbs. Some are somewhat higher on the glycemic index, but they don't really move the needle much on my blood sugar.
Yeah.
Which is good. I mean, I eat every 2.5 to 3 hours. I have close to, I don't know, 6 to 8 meals per day, sometimes smaller. But it's balanced out. My fat choices are very healthy. My protein sources, obviously. And, if Jordyn has taught me this nutritionally, if I'm not deprived from anything, if I want a slice of pizza, I'm going to have a slice of pizza. I'll journal it. I'll count it into my macros.
100%.
But what I won't have is a whole pizza.
Correct.
And her answer or feedback to that is, remember, you could have that slice of pizza or that piece of chocolate. You don't need to eat the whole thing at one time because you can have it again tomorrow and the next day. So I don't
healthy eating choices.
I don't take that liberty, but I'm very strict about what I do. So pretty much, and this is what I'll say, it's very similar to a contest prep diet, but with the carbs. It's a little looser now, but it works for me. It works for, my chemistry, my body, and it would work for most people, but you can't be lazy about it.
No, and I've said this many times, and I'm going to kick it to Jordyn because I see her up there chomping at the bit. So my diet is not your diet. Everybody's body reacts different, right? Like, I am so excited tonight I'm cooking a steak. I eat red meat once a week. Why don't I eat it more? It's not like red meat's bad for you because it doesn't work for me. Chicken and fish work for me. That's where I feel the best, but I love a good steak. So Saturday night, right? Jordyn, go.
So
I saw you up there. You're like, I'm ready. I got this.
So the thing is about what we did with Steve, just to like give some context as to how he got there, is Steve was a yo dieter. Like every other day, it was like, okay, restrict 1,700 calories at 250 pounds, I think he was when we started. And 260 actually, I think. And so he was 1,700 and then binge, and then 1,700 and then binge. And he was like literally yo-yoing from day to day. And so what I did when I got him was I started him at 2,200 calories a day as a diabetic in a lower carb range. And we reversed, he mentioned reverse dieting.
Yeah.
I reversed him from 2,200 calories to 3,000 calories a day on a week by week basis. We upped it by 50 to 100 calories every week, slowly. And what that does is it gives your body the opportunity to adapt. As a diabetic, if you are eating some carbohydrates and you reverse diet them in such a slow, structured, very, very calculated, very strict manner, like Steve said, you can actually have your body adapt to being able to process those carbohydrates again. Like so much so that you can, I don't want to say reverse completely your diabetes, but you can make it so that your insulin that you do have in your body or that is producing even on a really minor level is actually learning how to interact with those blood sugars again. So when you go to a doctor as a diabetic and they say, don't eat any carbs, all you're doing is literally creating giving your body more reason to adapt to that zero carb or low carb. So then the next time you eat carbs, it's going to be worse. You're making your diabetes worse.
And Jordyn, you one second, you can reverse diabetes if your pancreas has not completely shut down.
Yes.
You can't
Yes.
fix that. That's usually genetic.
Yes.
If your pancreas is not producing insulin, it's not producing insulin. But type 2 diabetes, you can 100% get rid of that
Well, we've
with
been
diet
with
and
Steve
exercise.
when you started, you were doing 150, 140, 150 units a day in insulin.
Of insulin. By the way,
Yeah.
let me interject so you know, everybody out there knows. I am insulin dependent. However, I was using, and that's part of what got me so fat, bloated, inflamed, whatever you want to call it. Overuse of insulin. I was pumping an enormous amount of insulin into my body to combat the binge eating, the carbs, and
Mm-hmm.
all the crap I was eating. So, and it never really moved the needle a lot because my cells were frozen, they were insulin resistant. Um, and it just didn't work. So what it did, since obviously insulin is a major storage hormone.
Mm-hmm.
Anything you put in your mouth, that's its job. It shoots the nutrients to your shuttles it to your cells,
Correct.
and it got very heavy doing that. Okay, so sorry, Jordyn.
No, I was going to say that so that was great context. And you were using that much insulin every day that you binged, and even on the days that you didn't because of the high blood sugars from the binge from days before, right? So you were doing that every day. And then what was it the last time we tracked your insulin because you're on the pump, he's on the pump. So he has the pump that's consistent on a
Mm-hmm.
low level maintenance dosage of insulin. But as for additional insulin that he has put in, I think the last time we looked at it, it was 11 units in a week that you had added.
That I had added. So
Yeah,
I use
insane.
it's called a bolus. So I'll bolus my meals. And at first, a year ago, when I started, really watching what I was eating and journaling and getting used to this thing, I would bolus a large amount.
Pause. Journaling, tracking food. So important. I cannot stress it enough. If you do not
Yes.
track it, you will not know. Period.
Yes.
I can't agree with you more.
Everything.
I
The
track
shit, the good, everything.
everything.
Track
Yes. So I would bolus too much and I would go too low. But I finally realized what was going on, that my what I was eating, I didn't need to bolus as much. And even today, as she said, I only use about 25 units of insulin a day, which is nothing considering I'm putting in 310, 325 plus carbs a day. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm talking sweet potatoes, white potatoes, white rice, oatmeal, grits, bananas, fruits. They have sugar, apples, prunes, all that. You eat that, your sugar's going to blow up. But
Yeah.
I don't need to bolus as much because my body is now used to the regimen. It's used to the foods. And in conjunction with a steady workout program, and by the way, I take in 72 grams of Gatorade intra workout
Mm-hmm.
to help fuel my workout. Now, my son said to me the other day, he said, because he trained with me and he's obese, and he said, geez, Dad, that's pure sugar. Look at the label. Each 20-ounce Gatorade is 36 grams of carbs, 36
Yeah.
grams. It's pure sugar. Doesn't that blow your blood sugar up? I said, no. And here's another one here. I drink 2 of them. I said, it doesn't, because it's fueling my workout. And I'm not,
Glycogen.
it's yeah, all
It's
the carbs
glycogen.
you take in,
The muscles need it.
exactly right.
Yeah.
converts to glycogen, which
Yeah.
fuels your muscles, your brains. So what I'm pumping in the gym, my muscles are chewing that through that glycogen. So I walk
Yeah.
out of the gym and my blood sugar's at like 98, maybe 110.
You
I
know,
don't.
I have to say, one of the most important things that has come out of this, other than your great journey, Steve, is the fact that you can eat food, still lose weight, and get your body right. People just like, I've had clients come to me, I've been trying to lose weight, I'm eating 1,200 calories a day. And I'm like, yeah, your metabolism has taken a shit. That's why you're not losing weight.
You're in
I mean,
starvation mode.
yeah, like right now, I just came out of a powerlifting phase in my own routine. And I'm working on a cut right now, and I'm eating 2,800 to 3,000 calories a day, and I'm losing 2 to 3 pounds a week, right? Like because I eat good food. Number one, 90% of my food is chicken, white rice, vegetables. Like that is 90% of the food that I put in my body. Protein shakes, of course. You know, I do 2 of those a day, 4 scoops of protein powder a day, 2 right after workout, 2. I love protein powder for dessert. A lot of times I make it into an ice cream, but I mean, it's like I do that, but mainly it's chicken, fish, vegetables, white rice. That's my go-to. I have day like tonight. I got steak, baked potato, a little bit of low-fat sour cream, right? I mean, tonight, yeah, that's just the way I do it. What works for me, right? But you can eat food and lose weight if you do what Jordyn says about retraining your body. You
That's right.
can't you can't have one without the other. You have got to do that reverse diet. You've got
Yep.
to bring everything down to the basics and then build it from there. One of the things I know you know this, Jordyn, but Seth Ferosi used to talk about this. Do you know who Axis Sledge is? You're in Philadelphia. You
Oh,
should know who
yeah.
Seth Ferosi is, right?
Yeah,
So
Seth Ferosi's in. He's
Pittsburgh.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
about 5 hours west of me.
So
Out
he
at
had
the
a
Ledge.
yeah, he had a YouTube video called Chicken and Rice, motherfuckers. That was
Yes, that's a
that was the
motherfucker
YouTube
part.
video, right? But it was the whole point of it was listen. It was almost what Jordyn does, but just on a bro science level. It's listen, back everything off, eat chicken and rice, eat it for 3 or 4 weeks, nothing else, and then start introducing things and introduce it one thing at a time and see how it works on your body. Okay, we're gonna put some sweet potato in. Ooh, that didn't work. No more sweet potato. We're gonna put some red meat in. Okay, yeah, that works pretty good 2, 3 times a week. We'll put that in. Let's add some fish in. But let's start somewhere. Let's
Mm-hmm.
get to a basic macronutrient uh, uh, point, and then build from there.
It's interesting. I want to interject on that because what it's come down to with me for years now, the past couple of years, is all the food I eat is predictable. I eat the same foods every day. And,
Mm-hmm.
have a good variety. I eat a ton of chicken, an enormous amount of chicken, an enormous
I had
amount
200
of
grams
fish,
for dinner.
a shit, a shit ton of eggs, even more egg whites. I
Yeah.
do have red meat a couple times a week, but the point is you have to be diligent. It's just like, working out. It's rinse and repeat. People will say, "Oh, that's boring." Boring builds monsters, man, and it builds discipline, and that's what's got me to where I am today. And yeah,
Yeah.
occasionally I'll switch up. We'll go out, we'll have sushi or whatever, or maybe, I grab an ice cream cone if we're down at the Jersey Shore or whatever. But most of the time, I'm predictable. My body knows. And even though if it's high glycemic or whatever, it's going to take it in and say, "Oh, hey, you again. I'm going to chew you
Mm-hmm.
up." And That's the name of the game. But most people don't want that. They want their cake and eat it too.
Yeah.
And part of what I did back in the early days is, like Jordyn said, 1,200, 1,500 calorie diet. I do great. I give myself a cheat day. And that's not in my vocabulary.
5,500 calorie cheat day. There's probably 500 grams of fat.
Oh my God. That cheat day not only wiped out the progress I made in that week, but it totally set my whole metabolism back, screwed with my whole endocrine system, my insulin, my diabetes. So
what's the industry standard, Jordyn? Isn't it 3,000 calories deficit a week to lose 1 pound, right? That's like the kind of the generic. Isn't that what it is? I think it's if you're 3,000 calories in a deficit for the week, you'll lose a pound. That's kind of like the science of it, right?
I don't adhere to any standards or anything.
No, I know you don't. I'm just shooting the average out here. But my point is what Steve's talking about. You can eat great all week and have one day where you ruin an entire week of eating. Where if you do what Jordyn says, where you're eating a consistent, good nutrition meal plan for your body and its organs and all those things, you're getting the right nutrients, the right macro and micronutrients in. And one day or 2 days a week, you have a slice of pizza or you go out for a cheeseburger day. It's not going to destroy you, right?
Nope. No, it is not. And it's not even, don't call it a cheat meal.
No.
Don't call it a refeed. I get all that. And that's more of a bro science type of thing or whatever you want to call it. Hey man, I'm just subbing out one of my meals for a Five Guys burger or a Big Mac, or subbing out one of my meals for a slice or two of pizza. I'm still journaling the nutrients in that meal.
Of course.
And once I hit 3,200, 3,400, I'm done and it's there. And that's fine.
I think too that it's to note that consistency is building trust with your body. Like your body is more than just what you see on the outside. You have cells that have memory. Your blood cells, your red blood cells, have memory. And so when you're starving your body, like when we think about somebody starving, okay, that when you are in an extreme deficit of more than 400 calories a day, like if you're in a deficit that's more than that, that is starvation for your body. It triggers the fight or flights, and it does. Yes, you lose weight, and yes, you do these things, but you are traumatizing your body, and you're destroying the trust between your body and you. So what's happening is your body is, when you think of it in that way, we talk about metabolism and how your metabolism slows down to accommodate the starvation, and that's when you plateau, and that's, all those things. We talk about those all the time. I'm sure you talk about them all the time on this podcast, James, so I'm not going to get into that. But when we think about that, think about what's actually happening inside of your cells. Like you must be traumatizing your body every time you do that. Right. So when we work with, like you're saying, with now you're in a cut on your powerlifting, you're eating after your powerlifting, you did 2,800 to 3,000 calories a day to cut.
I'm still at 3,000 calories a day on average.
And Steve's eating 3,400 calories a day right now. If I was to cut Steve, I'd say 31, not 21, 31. Yeah. And just like, because you want to maintain that loving, trusting relationship between you and your body. Not to sound wooey, but like to sound like legitimately. We forget that our body is it's a living fucking thing. If you had a dog and you starved it every other week, do you think it would trust you to feed it? No. Every time you walked out of the house, it'd be trying to find the food because it doesn't trust that you're going to feed it tomorrow. That's the same thing. Your body is a living thing. So don't forget that.
That's probably the best thing that's come out of the show right there. The memory that our cells have is legit. Like when I'm dieting a bodybuilder down for the stage, My goal is a pound to a pound and a half a week. Why? Two reasons. I want them to have plenty of food and glycogen to keep fueling their workouts.
Mhm.
And I don't want their body to go into oh shit mode and shut down.
Yeah.
Because you try to cut weight too fast, your body's going to shut down and like basically give you the middle finger and be like, no, we're going to
Yeah.
hold on to everything we possibly can because we don't trust you. Right? Just like the dog, Jordyn. We don't trust you. You're not going to feed us, so we're going to hold on to this.
It's going to hold on to everything. It'll go, our bodies originally, our ancestors were hunter gatherers. They forage and they operated on very low calories because they were hunters. And what happens is, yeah, you're going to drop a lot of weight, a shit ton of water, but your body's going to hold on to everything, and eventually you're going to stop dropping weight when you're in starvation mode. So what happens when you stop dropping weight? Your body is then going to start to feed off your amino acids and your muscles, and you're going to lose even more weight, but you're going to look like a starvation victim.
Not to mention, Steve, when you start eating again, when you get as a hunter gatherer, you kill that big, whatever they call them, woolly mammoth. You go get that woolly mammoth. What's your body going to do, right? You start eating, your body's going to go, I don't know when I'm getting my next meal. I'm holding every bit of this sucker.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's where that's when you said you eat 6 to 8 times a day, I love it. Like, that's my day. Like, I get up, I work out early. The way my work schedule works, right? So I wake up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm in the gym by 5:15, 5:30. I train fasted. I do not like training with food on. I've tried it. I don't do well. So my highest, but it's planned out. My highest carb meal of the night of the day is the last meal I eat. Because that glycogen is going to hang around, so I have it from a workout in the morning. I learned that from John Meadows. So
yeah, Mountain Dog.
Yeah, that's right. So I train, I come home, I have a protein shake. An hour and a half later, I have breakfast. Start work. 4 hours later, I have a snack. Then I have lunch. 4 hours later, I have a snack. Then I have dinner. Then I have another meal before I go to bed, that higher carb meal, right? So like I'm eating all day long. It's 2 to 3 hours. And that way my body's positive. It's like, hey, we're getting everything we need. I'm not worried. I got food coming in here every 2 to 3 hours.
Yep. That's how it's done. It's consistency, but it's also discipline. I mean, nobody really wants to do that. You do get tired of it. But like I said a few minutes ago, and it's like training, it's rinse and repeat. And it works. You just need to stick to it.
Yeah. No, Steve, I can't say enough about you, and I appreciate you coming on this show and telling your story. You don't think about that. Like, you're the successful guy, great in the business world, doing all these things, but has all these internal demons in the mind messing with him. And I want to thank you for coming on and sharing your story. Before we kind of wrap this thing up, though, Jordyn, if you could just enlighten us a little bit more about our minds and how they can sabotage and destroy us, I would appreciate it, because the information, like I said, everybody seen that movie Beautiful Mind? Jordyn has a beautiful mind.
Yes.
She has put the time and effort in understanding, and not many people, most people look at like, how can I get better? How can I do this? How's my mind going to help me get better? Why is our mind destroying us? Right? That's what I think you have spent a lot of time on, is focusing on the things and the triggers where our mind just breaks us down, instead of really focusing on how we can fix those things to make ourselves better.
Well, that's a question that I could probably write a novel on.
Let's keep it to 10, 15.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to just take you guys through ego school for a second.
Please, that's great.
Yes, there's going to be some spiritual conceptualization around it because there can't not be. We are a three-part complex. We are body, we are mind, and we are spirit. So there has to be spiritual conceptualization when it comes to understanding how to be our best selves. Because our best selves lies in here, not in the heart physically, but in here in spirit, not in your mind. And so that's where, I mean, when you think about spirit, that's where your kindness comes from. That's where we were made in God's image, is literally in spirit, right? And so that's, I mean, think about kindness, abundance, infinite grace, unconditional love. All of those things come from that point of illumination within us. And so we were born as that, made in God's image. Okay, so I'm gonna move my microphone out of the way. Still hear me fine?
Yeah,
I'm a
you're
hand
good.
talker.
You're great. Me
Okay.
too. I don't know if you noticed. I'm like all around.
Yeah. So we are like spiritual beings, and we were born into a human world that, um, into a human body with a human mind, and the human mind is a data collector. And what happened is at some point in our childhood, something happened that created a question in us. And that question was, what if I am not enough? What if there isn't enough? What if not enoughness exists? What if, and before that, you weren't like that. You thought, I cry, food comes to me. The world is wonderful. I'm just curious about everything, and everything's good and everything's fine. For some of us, that could have happened in the womb. If your mom was pregnant and didn't eat enough, maybe that first lack thought, idea,
Mhm.
question formed then. Maybe it happened when you brought your painting to your mom or your uncle and you handed it to them and they kind of just sloughed it off, and you're like, what? Like it could be anything, or it could be something way more traumatic than that. People have various levels of trauma in their childhood that creates the question, what if, what if I'm not enough? And as in a perfect infinite universe, anytime there's a question, there's also an answer. And so the question is, what if I'm not enough? What if lack exists? And the answer is the ego. Don't worry, friend. If you're not enough, I'll make you enough. We're going to
Yeah.
go out there and we're going to find enough. We're going to become enough. We're going to create enough. We're going to take enough. And so from
Oh,
that idea of lack, from that position of lack, from that, like, the ego is not a malicious thing. We have this misconception that your ego is against you, your mind is against you. It does not hate you. It's not here to hurt you. It's here to solve the question, why am I not enough? Not even why. It is to solve the question, I'm not enough. How will I be enough? And so ego, think of like EGO, energy goes outward. Energy goes outward. So all of a sudden you're looking for your energy, your light, your enoughness out there instead of in here. And so our mind is programmed from that moment on, from when you're a kid and you have that realization of, what if I'm not enough? Your mind is programmed to make you become enough. So we attach to things. We attach to identities. We attach to personality traits. We attach to things and experiences that, where we like do something and we feel in that moment, oh, maybe I am enough now. All of those things as a child, like for me, it was, um, I had to get a lot of male attention because I had a father figure in not my dad. My dad's great, but I had a father figure in my childhood that, um, that was where my not enoughness belief initiated from, was from that person, from that relationship. And so for the rest of my upbringing, I was always seeking, male attention from in whatever way possible. And for me, that came from, being funny, being one of the guys, being cool with everything, being super chill, being super laid back, being kind of a hard ass, being like, I became likable to every man, so that I wanted to be irreplaceable to them. So that was something that I did throughout my experience. So that was an identity that I attached to, and anything that got in the way of that became an issue. Right? So when you're thinking about, why does my mind put me in these positions, into these places, it's because your mind is being run by your ego, and it's looking for your enoughness outside of you, and you've attached to ideas and things and identities as what will make you enough. For some of us, it's money. For some of us, it's success. For some of us, it's a special relationship. For some of us, it's like there's so many different things that we attach to and identify with. For some of us, it's a sports team or a religion or something that we have attached to. So many things we've attached to that have made us into who we are, which then, if anything is ever in question, any of those things are in question or attacked or feeling like you're, like maybe someone doesn't agree, that's when we become toxic in our own selves and in the world, because we are fighting to protect the things that our ego has accumulated to make us enough. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And that is, I think, a great segue to end this show today, because you're 100% accurate. I've had many conversations with people where it comes down to, well, I feel like, well, I don't really care what you feel. Is it right or wrong? Because ego to me is I feel like I need to go hurt that person because they're getting in my way. I feel like you're tearing me down, right? I hate the word I feel like. And I hate the word I'm not motivated. It's discipline and training. Those things, as you develop those things, they'll help you better. For me, it was serving others. When I learned how to serve others, my ego took a backseat. I didn't need it anymore. I got my enjoyment out of watching others succeed because I was able to help them. I still love doing that to this day. I appreciate it. I find we've had this conversation, Jordyn. In my opinion, the Lord has asked us to do very few things. One, serve your fellow man. Let's help our communities. Let's help people out. That's what he wants us to do. Love one another, right? But both of you are great. I want to tell you right now, everybody, you need, if you're not following, I sent out a mass blast the other day. If you are not following Jordyn, you need to on Facebook. She will make you a better human being, I promise you. She will make you look inside yourself and pull out what is good. And even if it's just a little bit, she'll help you grow that little bit to something huge. So please follow Jordyn. I will drop her stuff in the description. Steve, do you have an Instagram, Facebook, where people can follow you, anything like that?
I do. Yes. Yep.
Give it to me. Email it to me so I can get it in the description.
I'll email it to you as soon as we get off, for sure.
Okay, and I want some pictures as well of you before.
You
got some after.
I'm gonna shoot you the before pictures.
Okay, do it. Email those, because I'll be editing this thing tomorrow. We'll have it up tomorrow night. But with that, I want to thank you both for joining me this Saturday evening. Steve, it's been a pleasure to get to know you. God bless you and your story. Jordyn, I wish you the best. I love you to death, girl. With that, I just want to tell everybody, remember, you get out there and you work hard, peoples. Keep it old school, and don't forget to smile.
Thanks,
We're out.
Take care.
I'll give you